the people that put on the festival, it was called
Oh, you can
Jesus
make a
Festival.
short story long?
Well, I'm gonna make it quick. So he asked all the guest speakers that after you finished preaching, this is on the side of a mountain. There was no food out there other than sloppy joes. You know what sloppy joes are? But I had one room, and I ate a hamburger.
Okay, so
Before I went out to that, and I saw
there.
a man.
And you had your $50
I had
with you
$50
that I usually gave you when
Gave
you
me
left
fit,
for a
and boy,
meeting.
that was big.
And I
And
told
the
you,
Lord said,
I-
"Go give him all your
right.
money." And it was $4 and that little hamburger, $4 something.
For your hamburger.
And he was quitting. I quit. Nobody, God didn't care for me. And I walked out and said, "Sir, I don't know who you are, but here's all my money." What? He said, and I gave a little tip, paid for my hamburger, and I gave him all that money. It blew him away. He started crying. He said, "How can I say God didn't take care of me?" And I went to the mountain. I made up my mind. Well, I hadn't eaten before.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna eat again because I couldn't buy a sloppy Joe to save my life. And you couldn't get anything
Right,
else.
Yeah.
But watch what happened. Well, and I'll take a little time on this real quick. I'll never forget this.
Such a beautiful story.
Good Lord. So, and you know, the only people had was just sloppy Joe, and there was no ice. You had to drink everything, on the side of that mountain. But at my table, this little booth, they wasn't as big as this, When I got back, there was roast beef and mashed potatoes and gravy
Hot plate lunch.
and green beans and a Coke this big with crushed ice.
Just for you.
And I looked around.
Yeah.
Nobody. So I
Yeah,
thought,
you told me
man,
all the speakers had their own little definite
little
place
thing, you
where
had
you
to-
would go, so
yeah,
people
so
who
people
were
would
there
say
could
hello
meet
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
Now watch this. So I said, then who did this? And several people said, we don't know. It happened for 4 straight days. Nobody ever saw lunch and supper. Nobody ever saw who put that. And I thought, angels are feeding me.
If
And
you can help.
I had some great food, cornbread, Lisa, Jesus. I mean, and then I had them old sloppy
You were
Joe
eating
sandwiches.
good in the neighborhood.
Eating good, son. So watch this. Never found out who it was. 8 years later, I went to Virginia. Now this is Parkersburg, West Virginia, where I went to Virginia, okay? And I went preaching a barn. The church was built like a barn. It was a beautiful place. So I finished preaching. I never go to my book and tape table. Now I've been in the ministry, now about 9 years, I guess 9, 10 years, something like that. And a little old lady comes walking up to me, her and her husband. So I'm thinking, and I'm right there by the book and tape table, which I never go. And she looks at me and she says, "You like my food?" I went, "Excuse me? Do you like my food?" And it hit me. I went, "Parkersburg, West Virginia." She said, "Yes, at the Jesus Festival in 1979. She said, "I was in a camper and I looked out and God spoke to me, feed that young man. He's given all his," boy, he's gonna touch me again. "Feed him." And she did. I said, "You want this whole tape table?" I'll give it all to you,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. She's probably in heaven. She was in her 70s. That's real old. Now I'm 72 now. And I'll never forget those things. She loves this.
Oh, come on.
It's time to quit this show here. Ladies and gentlemen.
No, but the point too, I love that part of the story, but I just was thinking about that young man that you encouraged that day. I would love to meet him one day. We'll meet him in heaven, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
his name
see-
was Dan. That's all I know.
Really, and I'd love to think how many people's lives were affected through his ministry.
You know what I told him,
that
Gabby?
continued, that finished, hopefully.
You know what I told him?
What?
Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Don't quit. You can do this. Author and finisher of your faith.